Hello everybody and welcome back, and the party are beginning this session on the moors just outside of Sukiskin. They have spent the last couple of nights resting and healing up and whistling on the moors. Now what they are whistling, who knows? A folk song, some sea shanty, a limerick, a saucy ditty, who can tell? But sure enough, on the third night, Loshad appears. And they see this centaur, which is not quite a giant, but a very large man who is half horse. I'm sure we all know what a centaur looks like, and he comes to meet them roughly about here. They ask Loshad for the whereabouts of Zitaka. Now Loshad is extremely difficult because he is the guardian of horses, and he knows that the people in this area are horse traders. But he does have his own problems. And we're told here of Loshad's bargain. He will tell us where Zitaka is, but we have to do a favour for him, and that favour is 4 nights from now, the party must bring to Loshad at this place the heads of the werewolf Belakask and her son Kalkask, both blood enemies of the horses. Loshad gives the characters directions to the wolves' den and advises them to attack at night when most of the pack will be out hunting. If they kill the wolves, which are there at the time, the adventurers can ambush the others when they return. And the second condition is the adventurers set free their horses within a month, which is 25 days. I think the second part of that bargain is meant to give us a month to clear out the ruins of Zitaka, and so we will be able to also leave our horses behind. I think that's a way of the plot telling us that we have to give up our horses. So the wolves' den is there. It will take us 1 hex per hour, half a day, full day to get to there. That's the first night. The second night, well, we need to wait here and attack at night. If we attack during the day, it will get much worse. And then, if we're successful in that night, then it will take us third night to return to about here. And then the fourth night to return to here and fulfill the bargain. So there is a time limit on this adventure, which means we have to get our skates on. So we've met Loshad in the middle of the night. We can return back to Sakuskin, get ready, rearm ourselves with arrows, sling stones and crossbow bolts, with rations. Since we've only got 4 days to do this quest, we're going to rely on just normal rations. Okay, so what we will do is we will set off on our new quest, and of course the people back in Sakuskin are both skeptical and bemused that going out onto the moors and whistling for Loshad worked. And of course, they didn't expect Loshad to give them any information without something in return. As usual, that was 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Lost in the 25th. We have to return 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights. We have to return on the 27th. And the weather's good. It's clear, it's dry, and it's cool with a slight breeze. And the moon is nearly gone. We're coming up to a new moon. So the night sky is very dark and the stars are up. Indeed, this is the stuff of adventures. As the party make their first journey to here. And when they rest overnight, well, it's one of those campsites underneath a very dark, starry sky, but where they ambushed on the way. Let's roll for the midday encounter. Nope. And let's roll for the nighttime one. And no. Okay, so they're going to wake up on the 26th. They're about here. This will take them about 6 hours to get to here. They don't want to go too close yet because they're dealing with werewolves, and the only information anybody really has is that they have an extremely good sense of smell that can travel for miles. So the question is, what are we going to do with the horses? If we leave the horses here, the chances are the werewolves will smell them, hunt them, and kill them. So we have to bring the horses closer to the werewolf den, and this will of course drive the horses mad. But that's what we have to do, and we have no choice but to wait for half the day until we reckon it will take us 6 hours to get here at nightfall, when we have been advised the den will be empty. Malin looks up at the vast dark sky that is speckled with bright stars. There is but the tiniest rind of a crescent moon. As always, his chest heaves and sighs with the wonder of it all. What were stars, and could he ever reach one and touch it? The idea is a distraction from the task ahead of them. The day had been slightly warm, but the heat had gone, and he is glad of his cloak. This is, if you remember, his tattered cloak from the shearing ceremony, the rite of passage that all Traladarian youths are expected to go through. To be exiled from home, take on the world, and return a grown man. Malin had never been built to take on the world in the expected way, but today he could probably blow away half of Threshold with a fireball. This was just a passing revenge fantasy, and it left a residue of homesickness in him. They are, in reality, not too far from Threshold, but it might have been leagues away. The land rises, and he sees a cliff loom out of the darkness ahead. It looks like a rock wall, at odds with the smooth hills that lie around him. It was as though a giant had cracked the land and pushed the cliffs upward. There's a small black hole in the cliff that, if it wasn't for Loshad's directions, would probably have gone unseen. The horses start blowing and shaking their heads as the party approach, and indeed, a few paces later, the horses falter in their steps and have to be urged forward. They smell death, says Sylvia, concerned for the animals. Our quarry will smell them, says Donard, concerned with practicalities. We should leave them here and scout ahead. Won't they run off? Asks Liz. Some of us can stay with them, says the cleric. You're quite good at sneaking, says Malin to his sister. Why don't you go? I'll go with you, says Carrick, in case something comes out of the dark, but I'll stay behind a bit. I don't have your twinkle toes. Malin watches as Liz and Carrick climb the slope towards the cliff. There's just enough moonlight shining from the left to catch them on their shoulders. Some way ahead, the short figure of Carrick stops and crouches down. He appears to urge Liz to do the same. They seem to be discussing something. Then Liz gets up and continues towards the cave. She passes into darkness, and Malin is left wondering where she went. Then, after several minutes, Sylvia beside him points. Look. He doesn't have her elven sight, and it takes a few moments before he sees the slight figure of his sister climbing the cliff. What in the hells is she doing? Whispers Donard. It's too dark to climb, says Sylvia. She'll fall. Says Malin, not so sure. She used to climb through her bedroom window in the dark of night a lot. Why didn't she just use the door? Asks Donard. She was seeing boys when she shouldn't have, Malin replies. The cleric stares at him. Ages pass as they watch their thief scale the cliff. Foothold by foothold, handhold by handhold, higher she goes. She reaches the top and crouches down. After a few moments she begins to descend. The night has gotten much colder by the time Liz and Carrick return. What was that about? Asks Donard. Well, says Carrick, when we got closer, we could see through the hole in the cliff, and from our low position, we were looking upward and we could see stars through it. That isn't a cave, but a tunnel into a small valley. This one here, he jerks a thumb at Liz, decided to check out the view from the top. I hope it was worth it, says Malin. That was foolish, Donard reprimands her. I shall do as I please, Liz retorts, and it was worth it. On the other side is a small valley, more like a hollow, and there are some wolves there, some sleeping, some sitting, 7 of them, maybe, possibly 9. If we can clean out those wolves, said Carrick, we can bring the horses into that place and prepare our ambush. But getting the horses closer to the cave was not easy. They stamped, they whinnied, they reared up on their hind legs. Any chance of gaining surprise was lost. Malin heard Donard behind him. He was speaking to Liz. Never put yourself in danger like that again, the cleric admonished. Malin waited for his sister's sharp reply, but there was none. And it was no wonder the horses were panicking. Around the cave was an array of posts that had been hammered into the ground, and they supported a display of horses' skulls. It was clear why Loshad had sent them on this mission of revenge. At first, I found this map confusing because I thought it was two different levels. Was I looking at an upper level or a lower level? And then I realised that both of these are the same map. And what you should find is that there are small dark patches here, and those are the cave entrances, which you can find here. So essentially, what really... I can't believe I'm criticising this artwork. I think it's great, but it might have helped had these been drawn like this with little arches to make it obvious that these are cave entrances. And maybe even you could have just had a dotted line. But that's what we're looking at. We're looking at one map, and this is a map with the roof taken off and the caves are underneath. We approach from here, which is slightly disorientating because if you look at where the ridge is, we are really approaching from here. This is north, and that's south. And this is a small tunnel. It's 6 feet high, and we have to dismount from our horses. We can bring the horses into this valley, and we can guard them as we try and create an ambush for the returning werewolves. We're just going to have Carrick, Donard and Sylvia take the front line, and we're going to have Liz and Malin try their best to bring the horses in from behind. Right, okay, well let's see how this plays out. Okay, well let's just begin this fight. Our 3 frontliners are here. They are ambushed by 8 wolves. There is no surprise. These animals have too good a sense of smell, and we of course know what they're doing. Liz and Malin have their hands tied up with the horses' reins, and they're struggling to bring the horses into this cave system as they're starting to become a bit frantic. So let's roll for round number 1. And it's mutual. Right, we have spells first. And of course, Sylvia is going to cast Sleep. And that's not that great. She is able to put 2 of the wolves to sleep. So it's melee next, and we'll have Donard up front. And that easily hits, but does not kill the wolf. It's from 10 to 2. They all have 10 HP. And Carrick easily hits and kills 1 wolf. So there are 5 wolves left. I have to say, I really love a D12 dice. So there are 2 wolves on Sylvia, 1 on Carrick and 2 on Donard. Donard has a slightly better AC because of his shield +2. Right, I'll do the 2 wolves on Sylvia. She did not have her shield up because she was casting a spell. They have a THAC0 of 17, so she gets hit for 6 points. She's down to 11. The 2 on Donard both miss. And the 1 on Carrick hits for 6 points. He's down to 25. Right, round number 2. And we get initiative. Now poor Sylvia is going to have to take this round just to equip her shield. Donard misses. Carrick misses. Again, Liz and Malin are trying to stop the horses from bolting, so we have to do all those attacks again. And another wolf hits Sylvia. She's down to 10. And a wolf hits Donard. He's down to 28. This one, his AC is now -1. So that one misses. And the one on Carrick misses. Right, round number 3. And they get initiative. Okay, let's do all that again. Both of those miss Sylvia. That's a change. Both of those miss Donard. And that misses Carrick. Our go. Sylvia. She hits, and she does a good 7 damage off 1. It's down to 3. Donard misses. And Carrick misses. So we're on round number 4, and we still have 5 wolves left. And they get initiative again. Both of those miss Sylvia. They need a 16 to hit her. One hits Donard for another 4 points. They can throw high. And that one misses Carrick. Sylvia misses. Donard fumbles. Carrick hits and kills another wolf. There are 4 wolves left. And we're on to round number 5. And they get initiative again. So it's 2 wolves on Sylvia. They both miss. The ones on Donard miss. Right, our go. Sylvia misses. Donard fumbles again. God, he's making me angry. Carrick tries to help out the elf. And he misses. So this is round number 6. And we get initiative. Right, that's a change. Right. Sylvia finally hits and finally kills the wolf that's on her. Donard finishes off one of the wolves on him. There are 2 left. Carrick wades in, trying to protect Sylvia, and indeed he does. There is 1 wolf left. Its go. It has a morale. And its morale collapses, and it runs off into one of these caves. We're going to have to deal with it, but before we do, we're going to have to get the horses in here, and we're going to have to use Staff of Healing on Sylvia, who is at 10 HP, and I think we'll use one on Donard as well. Sylvia. Okay, she's up to 15. Donard is up to 30. Okay, so we're going to go into cave number F. And there is nothing in this but the remains of gnawed animals. So we've got a cornered wolf. It's going to fight back, but there's 3 of us. Before we do that, we can dispatch the 2 sleeping wolves. Right. And we get initiative. Carrick's going to go up to it. And he does 8 points of damage. It's down to 2. Donard, who was embarrassed by fumbling twice, finishes the job. We have cleared out this area. Now it's not surprising the horses were panicked because this tunnel and this area here are lined with the skulls of horses on posts. These werewolves really do not like the wild horses or Loshad. But we have to create an ambush, and we only have about a couple of hours left to do that, and we don't know if these 8 wolves were the only ones, so we're going to have to explore these caves. Right, The party have explored this entire area. These caves were empty apart from animal bones, except this one, where there were no bones, but there were human-style bedding, and we reckon this is the werewolves' lair. We've had to drag the bodies of the dead wolves into this cave here because we want to, in some way, not make it clear that trouble is afoot when we set up the ambush. Whoever comes in has to be taken by surprise. We've stashed the horses here. This is the furthest one from the entrance. Malin has the idea that in order to stop the horses doing anything reckless or even harming themselves, he will cast sleep on them. And we also went up this little crevasse here, round and round and round, until we came to this here. And if you know your D&D map keys, this is a statue. Beyond the rocky walls of this natural fortress is a dusty barren hollow, littered with rocks and fragments of chewed bones. Looking down on the hollow from a pinnacle of rock, a statue of a jackal-headed human dominates the scene. We have seen jackal-headed creatures before in the tombs, and this is another ancient statue. We didn't really look for it, but when the party are here and they look up, they can see it. The statue has jewels for eyes. Glad to see that. We haven't had jewels for eyes in some time, and they're worth quite a bit of money. They're worth 750 gold each. So after checking for traps, there were no traps. Liz has taken those. And we have to lay our ambush for these werewolves and presumably more other wolves coming back. We haven't encountered a werewolf before, so let's explore a new monster. They come under the heading of lycanthropes, and a werewolf is just one of them. In animal form, a lycanthrope can only be hit by magical weapons. Luckily we only have magical weapons, and Sylvia's bow is magical. However, Liz has 5 magical arrows, so she can shoot them. There is something called wolfsbane, which is a herb that can act as a poison on lycanthropes. But the thing is, lycanthropy is a disease. Any human character who is severely hurt by a were-creature and loses more than half of his or her hit points when in battle with it will become a lycanthrope of the same type within 2 to 24 days. The victim will show signs of the disease after half that time. The disease will kill demi-humans instead of turning them into were-creatures. Now that is seriously bad. We don't know any of this, of course, but if Carrick loses too many hit points, he's a goner. Sylvia is going to stay at the back. We will use the Staff of Healing on Carrick. Excellent. He's back up to his max of 31. We might as well light torches and set them up around here. We're not going to fool these creatures. Their sense of smell is too good. Malin is going to cast... Is he going to do a fireball? Yes, he is. He's going to prep a fireball. Why shouldn't he? Donard is going to cast Bless. Sylvia and Liz are going to wait here. Malin is going to wait here. Carrick and Donard are going to take up these positions here. And sure enough, the 2 werewolves in werewolf form, followed by 6 other normal wolves, come up through the tunnel and enter into here. They've smelt the blood, they've smelt the horses. And we get initiative. Okay, well that makes the first round quite easy. Let's do some missiles. Liz is going to use one of her arrows +2. No, she's only going to use a normal arrow. She doesn't know about the magical weapon thing. She misses anyway. Sylvia fumbles. This area is wide open enough for there not to be friendly fire fumbling. And we have spells, and of course it's fireball, and I have been told that you roll fireball once. So make this a good one, Malin. That's 11, 12, 18 altogether. Everybody has to make a saving throw for half damage. I shall do the 6 wolves. Their saving throws are 16 or more. 2 fail, they're dead. 2 more fail, they're dead. All the wolves are dead. The 2 werewolves can make saving throws at 14 or more. So we'll do the werewolf chief. She fails and she's down to 12 HP. And her son, he succeeds. He's down to 9 HP. Right. That made such a difference to this fight. Ah boy, just out of curiosity, this is where Fireball loses its potential, because if the werewolves got initiative, they could have easily have just closed in and Fireball would be next to useless. I could see why miniatures would come into play, because you could then work out where to cast the Fireball so it hits the attackers, but your party are just on the edge of it. So it's there go, let's do the Chief Werewolf on Donard. And they do 2d4 plus 2, and we all hit a d4. She misses, she needs a 16 to hit Donard. And her son doesn't get the plus 2, and he misses Carrick. Right, so that's round number 1. Round number 2 is their initiative. Right, let's do all that again. Mrs. Donard. Mrs. Carrick. Liz, who still doesn't know about the magical weapon thing, hits, but is shocked that her arrow does nothing. Sylvia misses. Donard. Right, he hits AC 6. That's a miss. Carrick hits, but does not do great damage. But the werewolf son is down to 4 HP. We have round number 3. And it's mutual. I'll do them. No, I'll do arrows. Liz is going to try a magic arrow. She hits, and she does +2 for her training, +2 for the magic arrow, and she takes 5 points off the chief. She is down to 7. We'll do the melee of our party. Donard hits, kills the werewolf chief. Carrick hits and kills the werewolf son. Did they get a killing blow in with their mutual attack? The one on Donard does, and takes 8 points off him. He's down to 22. The werewolf son misses Carrick, and that is the fight over. We had to decapitate these two. Wait here until the morning before we can set off again. So let's just take a quick look at the treasure in the werewolf cave. It contains a battered chest, neither locked nor trapped. And it holds some tattered clothing, 500 gold pieces, an ornate jeweled necklace worth 2,500, a nice XP dump, along with a lot of gems whose total is that's 500, 600, 2,100 worth of gems, and a saddle with gilt mounts and silver stirrups worth 350 gold. Not complaining about any of that. So what we will do is we will leave the party keeping watch here, as they will rest up for the evening and wake up tomorrow morning. Before they rest, we can do some healing. We can do Donard, who is on 22, and he is up to 28, and we'll do him again. That's another 5. He's back up to his full health of 33. I think we might leave this session here and we'll begin next session where we go back to Loshad with the werewolf heads and he can tell us the location of Zitaka, and we can begin the next session on our journey to this mysterious place. So until then, I'll see you.